Have you ever sensed that someone was using you not just for affection, but as a source of power and validation behind closed doors? It's an unsettling feeling that can leave you questioning your own boundaries and self-worth. Welcome to The Secret Sex Life of Narcissists, where we'll explore how narcissists approach intimacy, why it often revolves more around control than genuine connection, and what you can do if you find yourself in too deep. Imagine Ashley, bright, accomplished, and full of optimism. She met a man who seemed perfectly confident and charming. He would hint that she should be thankful for his attention and brag about his legendary skills in bed. At first, Ashley thought this was just part of his confident personality. But soon, she realized his smooth talk was more about dominating each encounter than sharing pleasure. If any part of this introduction already rings true in your experience, consider sharing a simple word like "relate" in the comments below. Sometimes acknowledging it can be a vital first step toward recognizing what's actually happening. Narcissism involves a deep need for admiration, a sense of superiority, and a lack of genuine empathy. On the surface, narcissists can seem incredibly charming, using compliments and grand gestures to draw people in. Yet beneath that charm, it's all about ego and control. When sex enters the equation, it becomes a tool to reinforce their grandiose self-image rather than a mutual exchange of affection. Ashley's partner exemplified this. Whenever she tried to express her needs, he brushed her off or laughed, implying he already knew better than she did. If she hesitated or declined, he accused her of being distant or cold. Over time, she realized his self-proclaimed confidence was masking a hunger for power and validation. If you've encountered someone who seems to value their own prowess far more than your comfort, let others know they're not alone by commenting, "familiar." Awareness is often the first step in identifying unhealthy dynamics. Ashley noticed small red flags that built up over time. Her partner insisted he was the best lover she's ever had. He'd grow moody if she was tired or stressed and not ready to meet his demands. He boasted of previous relationships, claiming no one ever complained about him. At first, these remarks seemed like mere confidence, but their repetitive nature and dismissive attitude toward Ashley's perspective painted a darker picture. She tried to initiate deeper conversations, about emotional connection, about her desires. Each time, he brushed them off, changing the topic back to himself. When she asked for a simple moment of closeness afterward, he treated her as though she were needy. Eventually, she felt more like an accessory than a partner. If you've ever felt like you're apologizing for your own emotional needs, remember that genuine intimacy respects both partners' comfort. Dropping a comment like "respect matters" can serve as a reminder that no one should have to feel guilty for expressing their needs. Research on narcissistic traits often reveals that these individuals focus heavily on dominating scenarios. They might imagine faceless partners who exist only to shower them with praise, or they crave the thrill of conquering someone off-limits. The partner's perspective becomes almost irrelevant, overshadowed by the narcissist's hunger for validation. In some celebrity gossip, you might have heard about famous figures who allegedly require constant adoration behind closed doors. While rumors can be exaggerated, they do mirror real narcissistic patterns: power, secrecy, and a craving for endless applause. It's rarely about sharing a moment of genuine passion. Instead, it's a performance meant to reaffirm the narcissist's sense of superiority. If it surprises you how often fantasy for a narcissist is more about conquest than connection, feel free to say "eye-opening" in the comments section. Sometimes, just naming this behavior helps shine a light on hidden motives. The key difference between a narcissist's approach and normal confident behavior is the demand for total compliance. A partner's comfort or boundaries may be dismissed as trivial. For them, sex isn't about two people exploring intimacy, it's a stage to display their own prowess. They might boast about being generous lovers, but if you look closely, their so-called generosity is driven by a need to be praised. Ashley experienced this when she gently mentioned feeling tired after a long workday. Her partner took it as rejection and spent the evening sulking or making snide remarks. He seemed unable to fathom that her exhaustion was valid. This pattern eventually wore down Ashley's self-esteem, making her question whether she was the problem. If you've ever encountered similar entitlement, someone acting as though they have a right to your time and body, share a brief comment like entitlement to spark a conversation. Awareness helps others see they're not alone. One night, after a particularly dismissive comment about her appearance, Ashley felt a wave of clarity. She realized she was constantly apologizing, always trying to prove her worth to someone who seemed to care only about his own desires. Seeking help from a friend, she learned about narcissistic behavior and recognized the patterns: manipulation, lack of empathy, and a fixation on sexual performance as a measure of personal greatness. Confronting him led to an explosive argument where he accused her of being ungrateful. He showed no willingness to reflect on his actions. That reaction confirmed her fears. If any moment like this resonates with you, when you finally see the truth behind someone's facade, feel free to write "lightbulb" as a small statement of recognition. Narcissists often justify their behavior by insisting their partner is too sensitive or not appreciative enough. They might blame their partner's supposed shortcomings, framing themselves as the misunderstood hero. If confronted about ignoring boundaries, they might claim they have a high sex drive, or that their partner is being unfairly prudish. These tactics keep the conversation centered around their supposed needs and away from any empathy for yours. It's also common for them to brag about past conquests or drop hints about other people who desire them. This strategy maintains a sense of competition, making their partner feel they must constantly measure up. If you've ever heard phrases like "others have never complained about me," or "everyone else loves what I do," it may signal a deeper manipulation at play. If hearing these tactics described reminds you of a similar pattern, note a quick "recognize" in the comments. Sharing experiences can reassure someone else they're not imagining things. Staying in a relationship dominated by narcissistic behavior can lead to feelings of unworthiness, confusion, and even self-blame. Some individuals develop a trauma bond, where the cycle of hurt and temporary reassurance creates a strangely powerful attachment. The person being manipulated may cling to those fleeting moments of kindness or validation, hoping the narcissist's behavior will change. In Ashley's case, she spent months questioning whether she was overreacting. She clung to the early memories of his charm, wishing that phase would return. But as she learned more about narcissism, she realized those charming moments were part of a pattern to hook her in. If you've ever felt torn between leaving and staying in a hurtful dynamic, consider simply typing "torn" below. Others in similar struggles might feel less isolated. When Ashley decided to leave, she faced both relief and fear. Narcissists often don't let go easily, using emotional manipulation or false apologies to regain control. Being aware of this cycle can help you stand firm in your decision. Healing might involve therapy, confiding in friends or family, and taking time to rediscover personal boundaries and desires. Relearning intimacy in a future relationship can be daunting. After experiencing a self-centered dynamic, trusting a new partner's genuine empathy and mutual care might feel like a risk. It's important to remember that healthy intimacy is an evolving dialogue, both people matter equally, and consent is a cornerstone rather than an afterthought. If you find yourself on a path of healing, a simple message like "healing in progress" can symbolize your commitment to moving forward. Small steps can lead to significant emotional freedom. This has been an inside look into the secret sex life of narcissists, revealing how some individuals transform intimacy into a stage for ego and power. Ashley's story is a cautionary tale but also a testament to resilience. Recognizing narcissistic behavior might be painful at first, yet it paves the way to protection, clarity, and eventual healing. Every person has the right to a partnership grounded in empathy, trust, and respectful communication. If someone repeatedly dismisses your boundaries, belittles your feelings, or uses sex as leverage, it's a sign that power has overshadowed real connection. You deserve better than manipulation and endless praise for someone else's ego. If you believe no one should be trapped in a relationship driven by narcissistic control, feel free to leave a final note saying, "I deserve respect." Sometimes, a simple statement can ignite the courage in someone else to take action. Thank you for exploring this topic. May you find the strength and support you need to claim the intimacy and respect you rightfully deserve.